Welcome to the Relevance Report, where we explore the relevant stories that are shaping our world today. I'm Lucy Gordon, your host this week. On today's show, we will explore one way an Edmonton university is helping students navigate the dangers of downtown. Then, we'll discuss the state of journalism in the world of a new technology like AI. Lastly, we will explore the appeal of vinyl records in a conversation with a millennial collector. For many students living off campus, finding a safe way home is often a source of anxiety. Making the walk to catch a bus or a train or locate their car in a parking lot can be daunting, especially at night.
What does safety mean on campus? What does safety mean to you? And then how can you continue to create that safe space on campus for other people?
That is Cadence Munch, Safe Walk assistant at MacEwan University. She, along with a group of 2 to 3 volunteers, operate a free service called Safe Walk on campus that assists students, faculty, and staff at MacEwan University. For many students living off campus, finding a safe way home is often a source of anxiety. Making the walk to catch a bus, train, or locate their car in a parking lot can be daunting, especially at night.
We want to build up that acknowledgement of what does safety mean on campus? What does safety mean to you? And then how can you continue to create that safe space on campus for other people?
That is Cadence Munch, Safe Walk assistant at MacEwan University. She, along with a group of 2 to 3 volunteers, operate a free service called Safe Walk on campus that assists students, faculty, and staff at MacEwan University. Walking up the stairs to the second floor of the Students Association building, I see a small group of student volunteers, all in yellow hoodies, waiting at a small table adorned with the words Safe Walk on the front of it. The university hums, filling the room with the sound of the iridescent lights that hang above me. Admittedly, I am here to learn more about why this service is integral to student safety here at MacEwan. But after walking from my home and into the dull hum of the lights, I am hyper-aware of the darkness that sits outside the windows.
I am Cadence, and I am the Safe Walk assistant with SAMU. So SAMU's Safe Walk is a free service that's provided by the Students Association. It offers safe escorts for students or staff as well, who may prefer not to walk alone near campus or after dark when they are going to their vehicle or potentially the LRT or at the bus stop. The goal is to create a safer campus for all, and just by being present, being available for support and resources as needed.
Do you think there's been an increased need for students or faculty to access these services in the past year or since you started working?
I don't know if there's necessarily been an increased need for it in the sense that there has been any changes to the dynamics of how downtown works for safety or anything, but I do think that there are people who are maybe more aware of what it means to maybe look for safety within their communities and their spaces, and I think that's been brought forward and given more attention maybe within the last year or so. I do know that there's been some more incidents downtown than are preferred, but I think the student body itself has kind of come together, at least with the client experiences that we've had shared with us. They really find that the people around them that they're walking with are keeping them safe, and then that's why they're choosing the service. And so I think the choice to choose the service doesn't have to be a scary one. It could just be one that also is a positive experience as well.
And I was looking a little bit at the training that you provide for your volunteers. Can you maybe speak to the importance of having that?
Our present goals right now is to have all of our volunteers set up with form of first aid training if we're able to achieve that for them. I think each volunteer takes that training really seriously, but they also kind of embody it in their own way. And I'm really proud of each of them. They all come from different backgrounds educationally, so I think they're all bringing different things to the table.
I've noticed you've kind of gone through a little bit of a rebrand this semester just based off your new posters that I've seen. What other strategies do you think that you've implemented just to increase the program's outreach to students?
I think our biggest things that we focused on this year is we've tried to really jump in on things like the transit fair that we had in the fall. It was something that we worked with ETS, so Edmonton Transit Services. Wanted to make sure that they had the ability to offer the transit options to students that were available, but then they also have the ability to recognize that we are there to walk them to those transit locations if they need that extra support. That was huge in our intake process. People didn't really know that we existed at that point, and I think The rebranding process was a bigger one because we wanted students to not feel like they had to choose between walking alone and walking with other people, but that we could look at it as walking together to keep people safer in groups.
With fears that arise around public safety concerns, Cadence believes that the focus should not come from a fear of the downtown core, but reflect the sense of security we are able to feel around community.
That seems to be resonating with people a little bit more. The goals with the rebranding and the interactions with the student body were to really focus on what does safety mean to you, and can we help put that back into the community by building the community back up.
To learn more about SafeWalk, please visit samu.ca, that's SAMU.ca, for more information about how you can get involved. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Lucy Gordon. Scott Lingley is a veteran journalist who has been in all areas of the industry. From reporter to editor to social media manager, Lingley has insightful knowledge on journalism's past, present, and future. In this interview, Hayden Latimer asked Lingley about journalism's continuous evolution in the digital age, AI's role in the industry, and more.
As you know, journalism has become much more online recently with the rise of social media. Do you think that traditional journalism still has a role in the modern industry?
Journalism absolutely has a role in the modern industry. I think it's essential not just to an industry, but to society that we have journalists, that we have people reporting on the way that society is currently functioning on the level of governance, on the level of organization. You need people who know how to research. You need people who know how to communicate ideas clearly. You need people who can provide analysis. So I think all the traditional journalism skills still apply. It's just the medium or the media that have changed.
So speaking of the medium, how do you approach storytelling differently with the shorter attention spans that are found on people consuming their news via social media?
Well, I think what you have to do is you have to make determinations about the best format for the kind of information that you are giving. Obviously, some information is readily adaptable to a tweet. You can create an informational Instagram post. It's possible to do. It's just a different skill set, absorbing and condensing that information so that you can share it with the audience that you're trying to reach.
Do you think that AI has any sort of a role to play in the future of journalism? And if so, what role do you think that is?
I think that practically speaking, AI is a technology based on, to put it sort of cynically, plagiarism and fabulism, right? So AI can make up stuff. It can crunch down a whole bunch of information and turn it into something cogent, but it's not original research. It's just aggregating content and sort of taking an average of it. And I'm sure you've seen reports of people who use AI to generate a report, and then they go through it and find that AI has gone ahead and created fictional citations and stuff like that. AI is, at this stage, it's not a very valuable journalism tool, except as sort of a behind the scenes way of drafting content. You know, you can get AI to write something for you, but it's not going to be sound journalism. And it's also good for crunching large amounts of data. So I guess it comes in handy that way. But I think we're a long way from AI being a valuable journalism tool in terms of providing actual analysis or factual reporting.
And what skills do you think are most important for a young journalist to learn today for breaking into the industry? And do you think that that's changed at all over the last couple of years?
I think you definitely need to know how to use different communications formats. It used to just be either you were broadcast or you were print, and that was kind of the channels of journalism that are available. But I think journalism is transmitted a lot of different ways now, according to the audience that you're trying to reach. Obviously, traditional channels like the newspapers are pretty much all but, they're definitely on the way out. So, but I think that fundamental journalism skills will always abide to research, interview skills, and producing cogent copy and being able to make logical connections between facts so that you can draw conclusions. The ability to identify a story and tell a story is always going to be central to journalism. I think that challenge of journalism in the coming decades is to find a way to reach people with important facts about the world. I think there are still lots of really great journalists out there doing really important work, but it's become increasingly hard for them to reach a general audience.
Low-tech music is making a comeback. Sales of vinyl records have now surpassed sales of CDs for the first time since 1987, largely driven by those who are too young to have been around back then. Millennial vinyl collector Corbin Bakoricki sat down with Joanna Clark to share insights from a lifetime of love for the music medium.
My name is Corbin Bakoricki, and I listen to all kinds of music, from classical to rock, metal, all the subgenres, funk, little hip-hop these days, but maybe a little spliced in there.
Do you have any special memories tied to music?
Yeah, when I was a kid, my dad and I used to listen to music together the old way. It's pretty much what spawned my love for the album, as opposed to hit singles.
How did you first become interested in record collecting?
Well, my parents already had a bunch of records. I enjoyed listening to all of them, so I just kind of started getting some that I also wanted to listen to, and it grew from there into more and more and more and more and more.
And how many records do you have in your collection here?
Here, somewhere around 600, I think. No, that can't be right. Somewhere between 3 and 800.
3 and 800 total?
Yeah, something like that.
Can you tell me a little bit about how you have acquired that many records?
Cash.
Just cash?
Some friends sell their records. They're just getting rid of them. Maybe they're moving. I don't know what their reasons are, but they sell them pretty cheap, and then I get a big crate and find some gems. The last haul was a good one. I got lots of things I never really had before. Some blues, some funk artists, some jazz, bossa nova. It's all over the board. DJs even, electronic music, which is on record, which is funny.
You mentioned that you have found some gems. Do any stand out in particular?
I do like some of the jazz fusion stuff that I found. And I got the Shaft soundtrack by Isaac Hayes. That's pretty fun. More gems. Roberta Flack. She's awesome. Relaxing, but also really good music.
Is your collection mostly old music, or do you have new releases in there as well?
It spans quite a large amount of time. There's stuff from the 50s, probably stuff from the 40s, and there's classical music. Yeah, up to brand new stuff. I got some stuff that came out last year.
Are there any records you have that you'd consider to be among your favorites?
Oh yeah, pretty much all the ones by my favorite bands. Also, John and Vangelis, Friends of Mr. Cairo is pretty awesome. The Pink Floyd ones, Led Zeppelin. These are my favorite bands now. I'm just listening to my favorite bands. It's hard to pick exactly one record for being my favorite. There's a lot.
How do you decide what record you want to listen to on a given day?
Well, I do this alphabetical thing, but I skip forward a lot or backwards. It's definitely hard to choose sometimes, but other times you're like, yeah, I want to listen to this thing. It's in your head already. You just put it on. Or you're in the mood for a specific kind of music. Maybe you just want instrumental. There's a whole lot of options.
There's even more options on streaming. Why do you choose records instead?
Well, I don't have to rely on the internet, that's for sure. Streaming have hiccups. I guess records can skip too, but you can clean records. Also because the sound, it's that crackly poppy stuff. For the old records you love so much, that just shows how much love you've given the record.
Has your experience with vinyl records influenced your taste in music?
Yeah, it's hard to listen to the radio sometimes because you just hear the same songs over and over. The albums have all the deep cuts, and that's where you find the really good stuff from those artists you like. The ones that don't get on the radio because they're too gritty or too unusual.
So you prefer to listen to an album versus listening to a single?
Albums are like an art form. They tell a story sometimes, or maybe not at all. Maybe they're just compilations of all your favorite songs.
Do your friends share your interest in records?
Some of them do, yeah. Lots of friends, especially some past roommates. They would all listen to records with me, and they would have their own records, and they'd have different interesting stuff, and we'd show each other music. It was pretty good.
Have you inspired anyone else to begin collecting vinyl?
I've inspired a few people, yeah. Some friends' kids, although that kid, his taste in music is questionable.
What are your thoughts on kids beginning to appreciate vinyl when they have options for streaming and other ways to get music?
I think it's good. Instead of streaming, which most of them you have to pay a service for, yeah, you don't need that. You can listen to all your records. Especially if you have a lot, then you don't really overplay all of them. But if you have a couple, you get sick of that music pretty quick.
That leads me into my next question. What advice would you give to someone who's wanting to get started with record collecting?
Find the cheap stuff. Garage sales, your friends that are basically giving them away. Yeah, buy in bulk and see what you like out of there. If you don't like, you can always sell them too. But eventually, your record collection will just grow and grow and grow. And then you'll have all your favorite stuff. And then once you do, you have hours and hours and hours. We're talking days, weeks of music. So you can never get bored.
And now it's time for the question of the week. We asked, what advice would you give to your younger self?
The advice I'd give to my younger self is probably to breathe. Honestly, to take my breaks, and there's time to just relax a bit and not to rush.
To just take it all in. I was definitely a child that was going, and always was rushing myself to be finishing things and be achieving things before other people. And I think that I would have really appreciated if I had just taken the time to slow down and really take in everything and not rush myself, because life is already so short.
I think I would tell her to keep going. There's going to be a lot of bumps and bruises. And there's going to be times that you want to give up. But at the end of the day, you have two options. You can either give up or strive. And I would want her to strive.
Just to relax a little bit. I think I was uptight about a lot of things. Really nothing is life or death. You can relax a bit.
Just live. Be happy. Live life. Life will happen, and let it happen.
Save your money, please. Just keep it hidden. Don't spend it on stupid stuff. Just save your money.
Thanks for joining us for the Relevance Report. This week's episode was produced by Hayden Latimer, Joanna Clark, and Lucy Gordon. The show was edited by Hayden Latimer. The show's supervising producer is Sheena Rossiter. Additional studio supervision by Sasha Stanojevic. This episode was produced as a part of BCSC 325 Radio News and Documentaries course in the winter 2025 semester. The course is part of a Bachelor of Communication Studies program in the Department of Communication at MacEwan University. The show was edited and produced out of the MacEwan Media Production Studio. Our theme music is called Buzzing by Kaylee Lambert. Additional music includes Deep in Trance by Purple Planet Music. Logo design for this podcast is by Sasha Stanojevic, and I'm Lucy Gordon, your host for this week's episode. This podcast was recorded on Treaty 6 territory, the traditional and ancestral territory of the Cree, Dene, Blackfoot, Saulteaux, and Nakota Sioux. We acknowledge that this territory is home to the Métis settlements and the Métis Nation of Alberta, Districts 9, 10, and 11, within the historical North Saskatchewan River Territory. Don't forget to subscribe to the Relevance Report on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you like what you've heard, please leave us a review and rating. It really helps people find the show. Please join us again next week when we report the relevant stories that are shaping our world.